Let's talk about those keys to victory. If Cleveland does score in all four quarters, well, the Bengals may be in trouble. But Jeff, from your perspective, as you think about how the Browns could carve out a path to victory in this game at home, their first home game, as you mentioned, in 5 weeks, I guess, 4 weeks, depending on the way you think about that. What are the three things the Browns need to go right to win this game?
I'm going to start with this and trying to be positive. The Bengals don't have much film to go off of here, because what have you seen from the Browns to this point? You've seen 12, 13 targets a week thrown at Amari Cooper. They're not throwing that much because Deshaun Watson's getting sacked a lot. It's going to be a little bit difficult to game plan because, you don't know what to expect from Jerry Jeudy. Cedric Tillman's figures to see more snaps. Elijah Moore, David Njoku's back. Nick Chubb is, of course, back. The rookie Jamari Thrash should get some run. So basically, the Bengals are going to have to be the guinea pig for whatever the Browns are for the next couple of weeks. I don't expect all of a sudden we're going to see, the Bill Walsh playbook come out and all of a sudden things are going to look hunky-dory. But again, the Bengals are basically just going to have to play straight up and see what's coming at them. So that was an advantage that maybe the Browns do have for them. The other advantage is, look, in games like this is a good opportunity for both teams because you don't really have to overthink it. These two rosters know each other extremely well. They know what the Bengals can give them. The Bengals know what the Browns can give them. So, yeah, it's going to be an advantage for somebody. It's certainly going to be a disadvantage for somebody else, obviously, in this game. But it sounds so sad to say, but put together consistency. Put together 4 quarters of football, things that carry over. There's been times where, last week you get to half, 10-10. All right, things look really good, right? All right, they got the ball second half. They're already at the 30. Hey, it's third in inches. All right, James is on. Here comes the QB sneak. No, we run a jet sweep to Cedric Tillman, who hasn't touched the ball in 3 weeks. You just find a way to shoot yourselves in the foot, or you overthink it, or you just try to be more than you are. Keep it simple, stupid, simple. That's it. Just go out there and play the game. Understand what you have from Nick and what you don't. It's probably going to be 2 to 3 touches per quarter at best. Work around that. But, it's said that you have to go to the simplicity of this, but that's really where the Browns are at. It's literally making sure you tied both shoes correctly before you get on the field.
And make sure that you have a left and a right shoe. As we continue to review our keys to victory in Crossover Thursday presented by PrizePicks, you can download the app and use code LOCKEDONNFL to win $50 instantly with your first $5 play. James, your thoughts on any of the keys to victory that Jeff mentioned or the keys for the Bengals themselves?
Yeah, I think tying your shoes is important. I think the Browns will be good there. As far as the Bengals are concerned, let's start here. You have to start fast. The Bengals get their butts kicked by the Browns every time they don't start fast and they get behind. And Baker Mayfield, after Odell Beckham Jr. leaves, gets into a rhythm after releasing Odell Beckham Jr. Or last year, this defense can get downhill and the Bengals are in drop-back passing situations. So that's number one. Number two is being efficient on the ground. You don't have to be it would be great to be explosive and average 10 yards a carry. But if you're getting 4.5 yards a carry and efficient, and you're giving Joe Burrow 2nd and 5 or 3rd and 2, that's much, much different than we've seen in past matchups. And I think that's a huge one. And then number 3, it is making sure that the Browns crowd hates Deshaun Watson, hates number 4 more at halftime than they do when he's introduced, like Jeff mentioned. So what does that mean? Not let him get into a rhythm. Make sure that you're all over him, that he's throwing incompletes, that he's uncomfortable, and whether that's Sheldon Rankins having a big day, and I think he's due for a big day at some point as a pass rusher. Obviously, we know what Trey Hendrickson brings. B.J. Hill coming off of probably his best game as a Bengal. This defensive front needs to get home, and along with that, obviously, it means don't let Nick Chubb have the magical Disney-like comeback in his first game back. He can have that next week. You don't want him to have it this week. So much, much easier said than done. And they all go pretty hand in hand, because if you're starting fast, you're probably at least efficient on the ground. You're getting off the field early on defense by pressuring Watson and taking care of Nick Chubb. So it all goes hand in hand, but I think those are the 3 things the Bengals need to do to get the first win in Cleveland of the Joe Burrow era.
Yeah, I just want to underline taking advantage of this Cleveland offensive line in the departure of Bill Callahan to Tennessee to go coach for his son. that offensive line with personnel changes, with injuries, with the departure of their coach, with the quarterback play, with all of the things going wrong with that Browns offense right now, is one of the more vulnerable offensive lines they've played this year. Go back to week 1 against New England for the last, I would say, very questionable offensive line. Trey Henderson against Jedrick Wills on the left side there is a big one that I'm circling. And you talk about turning the crowd or taking the crowd out of it or whatever you want to call it. You can do that by consistently disrupting Deshaun Watson back there.
For sure. I think they, regardless of Chubb, you don't want him to get even semi-comfortable back there. And you want him in games like this, you want the crowd to get uneasy quick. And then it just feels like that weight that is on these players' shoulders gets that much bigger.
Of course.
And it's the same way the other way for the Browns. If you get off to a good start, then that weight of 1-5 against the Browns, not winning in Cleveland, that on the Bengals' shoulders gets bigger. And so I think that early on in this game, whoever's getting that weight off their shoulders and feeling good and making plays, that's going to be the team that probably wins this first matchup in the Battle of Ohio this year.
Yeah, you mentioned the fast starts, and I just think of Myles Garrett getting the tee off. Even if he is a little bit diminished, he's still a freak and still a really great player. Or the Browns not having to put the ball in Deshaun Watson's hands and just getting behind a run game. And that's the way these games have really gotten away from the Bengals, in addition to turnovers, which are obviously things that both teams will want to take care of in this game.